There is water if you want some water over there. Good. We're going to go by my watch. In 1 minute we will start. Okay? Okay, good morning. Happy to have you here today, and I think we're going to have some fun these next sessions, and I wanted to let you know that I taught this class, I can hardly believe it, I taught this class 10 years ago, and we had no technology, we had no social media. Frankly, I think, this is my thing, I think we were better off, but that's all right. But anyway, we have the technology, which is good. I'm very, very happy that we can welcome people who are live streaming today. And so welcome to you. We're going to have some good opportunity to learn together today. I do want to read a scripture to you and then have a word of prayer. And also share with you a mini devotional that was sent to me by the pastor that my wife and I worship at his church when we go to Florida. And he sent a devotional that was absolutely ideal to this class. All right? So let's have a word of prayer, shall we? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for the opportunity to be here. We do pray that you would allow us to have clarity of mind, clarity of thought. Lord, we pray that the things that we discuss today would be beneficial as we seek to help other people who really perhaps are hurting, who need a listening ear, who need someone to come alongside them. So we pray, Lord, that everything that we do and say today would be pleasing to you, for we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. I want to read to you this scripture from Psalm 147, verses 1 through 3. Listen to this. Praise the Lord, for it is good to sing praises to our God, for it is pleasant and a strong praise is fitting. The Lord builds up Jerusalem. He gathers the outcasts of Israel. He heals the brokenhearted, and he binds up their wounds. And that is exactly why we're here today. Some people have asked me, why am I doing this?
Why are you doing this?
I'm glad you asked. I will share with you why as I tell you a story. People love stories. This is a little devotional that Reverend David Stewart sent members of the congregation. Many years ago, he says, I was painting a house for a couple. The wife was busy considering the redecorating and excitedly showed me some wallpaper. How about that? That shows you how long ago that was. She was considering the remodel. She was on her way to talk over these options with a friend and was carrying a large stack of samples down the stairs to the garage. Almost immediately, I heard crashing as she fell down the flight of stairs. It's an image I will carry as long as I have memory. That incident got me thinking. Well, he says, I immediately noted, as I went over to the lady, a compound fracture of her leg. I'll spare you the gory details, but I'll remember it forever. That incident got me thinking about the various trials and travails that we face in life. As horrifying as that scene was, it was quite obvious what the problem was and the remedy to get her back on track. I immediately called 911, put a simple splint to keep the leg from moving, and just comforted and prayed with the woman until the ambulance arrived. Yes, there is often a lot of trauma and hurt, but there is a clear path for care, both physically and spiritually. Over the past few days, Reverend Stewart says, I have been struck by how many traumas result in what I call invisible wounds. Charles Spurgeon, one of the greatest preachers that ever lived, notes in a sermon he preached entitled, Healing for the Wounded, that, quote, man is a double being. He is composed of body and soul, and each of the portions of that person's life may receive injury and hurt, unquote. Oh, how true that is. These invisible wounds come from stinging words, broken relationships, or even the broken pathways that guide our thoughts and emotions. And there is rarely a simple splint available to begin the healing process. Often, we are tempted to treat this lightly. In these situations, we must look in faith to our great physician, the one who masterfully knitted us together in our mother's womb and knows our body and soul. It is this one who promises to heal the brokenhearted and bind up their wounds. And there is great comfort in knowing that he cares for us to the core of our being. The reason why I am offering these little classes is because there are people that you see, that you hear of, that call you, that text you, that, come by your house or whatever, and they may be wounded. They really may need some care. They may need a listening ear. The problem is, a lot of us are willing to assist people, but we really hesitate to really say an awful lot because we don't know what to do. We don't know how to act. We don't know what to say. I am hopeful that as a result of these 5 sessions, we'll give you some information, we'll give you some equipment to be able to be better able to be people helpers. Nate, do we have the books somewhere?
Yes, there
okay.
are. I didn't bring them in my
okay.
office, but we only
at the end of our session, this particular book called How to Be a People Helper is by a fellow that is by the name of Gary Collins, Dr. Gary Collins, Christian fellow, clinical psychologist. For a number of years he taught at Trinity Evangelical Seminary in Illinois. And this is a terrific book. I would like very much for you to get a copy. We have right now a limited copy, more are arriving, but one per person, and unless you're a married couple, please take one, okay? And I want you to read right now, as you get it, the first 2 chapters. Because we're going to be going through some of this as we take our classes together, all right? How to be a people helper. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Did that do what I wanted to do? Okay. Some of you know who I am, some of you don't really know anything about me, but I want to share with you just a little bit. I was a Presbyterian minister for 33 years. I was raised as a Presbyterian in the Baltimore area, and I was telling Nate, and I know most of you are Baptists, but I was not raised a Baptist, and I was baptized as an infant on the 8th day. My mother was a relatively new believer. She took me, was attending a Presbyterian church, and she asked the pastor to baptize me. But I was a pastor for 33 years. I had 20 years as a civilian pastor. Okay, various places. My last church was in Taunton, Massachusetts. But for 25 years, I was an Army chaplain. For almost 21 years, I was active duty. 4 years, I was Army reservist. So 20 years civilian, 25 years Army chaplain. That's basically my bio. And I am a member of the Brewster Baptist Church. This is my education that you can see. However, what you can't see is what happened to me halfway through my Army career. Halfway through my Army career, the chief of chaplains called me up, his personnel guy called me up. I was in Germany at the time, and he said, Chaplain Vermont, we want to send you to Walter Reed Army Medical Center for 1 year of intensive training, what is called clinical pastoral education. That is to train chaplains in clinical ministry to be military chaplains for sick and dying, and also I found out for people who had substance abuse. 1 year I was sent at Walter Reed, then I was sent to Eisenhower Medical Center in Georgia, 2.5 years. I spent as a chaplain for substance abusers, alcoholics, and drug addicts as their chaplain. Received a lot of training at the Army Medical Department in San Antonio. I had bereavement training, and then when I got out of the Army, I was a hospice chaplain. Hospice chaplain here on the Cape for a while. I was looking for a church, could not find a church on the Cape, and I was called one day out of the clear blue sky, and I became a hospice chaplain for a little over a year. That was quite an experience, I can tell you. But I was trained in clinical ministry, and so it was kind of a natural thing. And I enjoyed it very much, and I learned an awful lot. So that's a little bit about me. Oh, I'm married. My wife and I just celebrated our 56th wedding anniversary. We have 2 grown children. We have 2 children, and we have 3 grandchildren. And when I got out of the Army in 2007, we had no place to live because we were living in Army housing most of the time. And my wife said to me, we're moving to Brewster. Her father in 1953 purchased property right here in Brewster, built his house, and 3 600-square-foot cottages that he rented out well into his 90s. Right? So we inherited, she has 2 brothers, we inherited a cottage, and my wife said, obviously we're not going to spend the time in a 600-square-foot cottage, we need to renovate. Yeah, so we did. And so we live in Brewster right off of Point of Rocks Road, down around the Cranberry Bog and Robinson Road in that area, and that's where we live. So that's a little bit about me. Hopefully you know a little bit about me. So, what are we going to do? I'm by faith, I'm hoping this is okay. I want to say to you that one of the problems that we have, one of the distinct problems we have in communicating with other people is that often there is a difference of opinion on definitions, simple definitions of words. Also, there are cultural differences, but I have found that a lot of the confusion and sometimes arguments are as a result of words and what they mean. Am I right or wrong? Definitions. And we assume that we understand what the other person means by the use of a particular word, but often that's not the case. Okay? So a lot of times, there's a problem. Now I want to share with you the easel up here just for a moment. I'm going to get out of this if I can. There are 3 things that I want you to consider that I'm trying to work with you today to hopefully teach you. First, number 1, the learning objectives for this class, you will learn, or maybe relearn, the critical importance of developing better personal communication skills. Number 2, you will learn or become aware of your own non-verbal signals you use in conversation. Number 3, you will better understand how to read nonverbal cues and how to read or decode them in others. And after a while, you're going to see very, very clearly why these learning objectives are extremely relevant. So, let's define terms. Okay, you can see that? Yes? So what I want you to do is, I want you to read this definition, and I want you to tell me, please, what you think is the most important word or phrase. Tell me. Raise your hand, tell me. What is the most important word or phrase in this definition? Process. Who said that? Yes, absolutely. It certainly is a process. Something else, but however, you're incorrect. Say again? Understand, okay, okay. That's very good. You're close. You're getting warmer. Yes? You're getting more warm. What else? Absolutely. You've got to share. What else? You've missed it so far. True. True. Who said that? What's your name? Sandra, you get the prize. What can I do for you? I don't know. Did you hear what she said? Say it again.
In such a way.
In such a way. That phrase is absolutely key to understanding communication. A process, yes. Verbal or nonverbal, of sharing information, yes. With another person or persons in such a way that the other person understands what you are saying. I mean, you can share till you're blue in the face, but if you are not communicating in a way that that other person or persons understand, you might as well be speaking Greek. You've got to understand that if you are talking with a person, they're talking with you, they're seeking you out, perhaps as a people helper, they need to hear from you some things that are going to help them, but you cannot help them unless you are able to communicate in such a way that they understand. You follow what I'm saying? It seems self-evident, but it is not. It is not. By the way, if you have a question or a comment, please don't hesitate to ask me. So there are certain laws about communication. The first law is the first impression. My. First impressions really are critically important, aren't they? Those of us who've been in the workforce, we understand. We go for an interview with a prospective employer. It's very important to dress in a way that, dress for success, they say. It's important the words that you choose. It's important, that you really have rapport with that person right away. How people perceive you is how they react to you. So what I'm trying to say is, perception is reality. You've heard that before? It's true. You want to be able to communicate, perhaps, but what you think you're saying may not be how they're hearing you. Their perception is critically important. If you want to help them, how do they perceive you? How do they perceive your words? All right? Second, you reap what you sow. Have you heard that before? You reap what you sow. When we talk with another person, we are investing in them. They are investing in us. It's a two-way street. You sow, and then you will reap. But you need to understand, if someone is seeking you out, or somehow or other, a person is presented to you in your path, and you really know that they're hurting and they're willing to talk with you, you are investing your time, you're investing your energy, believe me, you know that. If a person is hurting, you are it physically costs you to spend time with another person and try to assist them. Am I correct? Sometimes you really are tired, emotionally and mentally, physically, actually physically tired, because you're investing your energy, you're investing your personality, you're investing your whole being in another person because you care about them. You care about them and you want to be able to help them. Another one, the second law of thermodynamics, anything left to itself goes to pot. Well, when I originally wrote this class, I didn't realize that pot is a really loaded term. What I really want to say is relationships need to be cultivated or they will die. Unless you cultivate gradually, there's the process. You cultivate a relationship with a person, it is going to go nowhere. It will die, unfortunately. And lastly, the law of the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Are those pretty self-evident? Can you agree with me on that? They're pretty good. Those principles are very good. Okay? When I did this, I did a whiz-bang presentation. It actually was sound. All right. So, look at this. Has this ever happened to you? And I would like you to comment on this. Okay? My intention is for you not to just be silent the whole time. I told you this is going to be an interactive session. Has this ever happened to you? I know you believe you understand what you think I said, but I'm not sure you realize that what you heard is not what I meant. Talk to me. Talk to me. Has that ever been your experience, Diane?
Happens all the time, yes, my husband has a hearing problem.
Oh, we're going to bring the husband. Okay. So because of the hearing, okay.
When I say what I think I'm saying, he doesn't get it.
Okay. So I mean, there's a physical reason, obviously, why he misses some of the content. So, despite the fact of a physical impediment, yes, ma'am. What's your name?
Lucia, I think sometimes when you're talking to someone and you're trying to give them helpful points on how they can maybe change how they're doing something,
Right.
they take it as a criticism per se. So
They do, and that's unfortunate, isn't it? You don't mean it as criticism.
sometimes it's hard to get past that because they get so defensive.
They put up a barrier, right? And that was never your intention, but it's hard to get over that barrier. They have made up their mind. And by the way, I want to say this to you. I don't know whether, I bet you know this. Let's say, for instance, you're coming in to meet a person, maybe a prospective employer, or maybe a new person on the street, or someone at the church, and you've never met them before, and all of a sudden you come and say, how do you do, my name is. Do you know how much time elapses before that other person makes a judgment call about you? How much?
3 seconds.
Under 10 seconds. What? Did you know that? Anybody know that? Listen to that. A new person that you are meeting, they will unconsciously, and sometimes consciously, make a call, make an understanding in their mind, what kind of person is talking to me? Who are they? What do they want from me, if anything? But it's really under 10 seconds. So for instance, me as a pastor, when I make a pastoral call, all right, maybe I have never met that person before in my life. And I knock on their door, they know that I'm coming, I'm not going to make a cold call on them, and hello, how are you doing? And within the first minute, certainly within the first minute, we either create rapport or we do not. What significance does that have, do you think? What do you think? Given the fact that that's the case, and it is, what does that mean for a relationship? What do you think?
Either I'd be very nervous when I'm talking to somebody, make sure I don't say the wrong thing in 10 seconds.
Yeah, you don't want to say the wrong thing, but what else? Yes.
You have to work at overcoming the objection. You have to figure out how to fix it, you know. You got the wrong impression, let me tell you a little bit about myself, or I don't know. You have to fix it, first impression sometimes.
You know what I have found? Can you hear what she said? Did you hear? Okay, you got to fix it. One of the things that I do, for instance, if I'm going to a person's home or I'm going into their realm, I look for things around me that maybe I have in common with that person. Let's say, for instance, there is a painting on the wall. There is maybe a knickknack. There is some kind of object. Maybe it's a throw rug. Maybe it's an Afghan. Whatever. I look for something that I can connect with that person genuinely. I don't make it up.
Make it friend.
To create a rapport. And unless you do that, it's very, very difficult to overcome some person's understanding of you unless you create that rapport. Now, I bet you this retired dentist over here, he's a very quiet man. And I guarantee you that Dr. Wayne Johnson knows exactly what I'm saying. A patient comes into your dental office, and within a very short period of time, what do you have to do? What is the scene? Tell me.
I think you have to show them that you care.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
It has to be different for each person.
It's different for each person.
I didn't hear what you said.
Say it again. He's very quiet. He's very unassuming. Go ahead.
Except when I yell, and I'm not so quiet. So you have to you want to make that person know that you care about them.
Genuinely. You have to. Now, as a dentist, who loves going to the dentist? Anybody? You have to put them at ease, do you not?
Absolutely.
And it's not only by the words that you choose, but also in actions. Okay? So it's important for you to understand that these are skills. Some people have these skills very naturally, but most people need to work at it and be intentional. All right? To build rapport, to make people feel at ease, particularly if they're coming to you for assistance. You need to create rapport, and it needs to be done fairly quickly. It doesn't mean you can't overcome things. You can, but it takes a little bit of work. All right? So, this has happened to me, no doubt. Now, take a look at your packets in the folders that you have. We're going to have a little bit of fun here. You see some cartoons? There should be, I believe, a number 1 in the right-hand corner. You see that? You got it? Okay. Everybody got it? The second little strip, I don't know who the cartoonist is. I can't even read it. But here's something that is very, very interesting. The lady in the second, she apparently is ill. She's sick. Okay? She's in bed, and it says what she heard. And the husband says, "You don't expect me to take care of the kids, clean the house, and make dinner, do you?" And then she thinks about what he said, and he says, "Feeling any better, honey?" But she didn't hear that in the beginning, did she? Or how about the third strip? He points to her. She's having a cup of coffee. Yeah, she's actually having a tea. I can see a tea bag there. "It's your lot in life to stop whatever it is you're doing in order to serve my every need." Oh my goodness. And she says to herself when he said, "Honey, do you know if we have any more AAA batteries?" Turn the page. The second strip. They're sitting on the couch and they're watching TV. And he hears her say, "Honey, why don't you put your head in a vice and turn the handle until your skull explodes?" And what she actually said was, "Honey, why don't we turn off the TV and just talk?" That's what he heard. Okay? Now we laugh at this, and it is kind of humorous. But there is truth to these things. Am I correct? There is truth. So, let's look at the messages. If you are communicating, and we're trying to develop communication skills here, and by the way, I have to readily admit, there is no way in God's green earth that I'm going to be able to give you all the skills that you need in 90 minutes to be a better communicator without some practice. These things require intentional trying and learning and evaluating So the communication messages are what you mean to say. All right, we've already done that. What you actually said, what the other person hears, what the other person thinks he or she hears, what the other person says about what you said. In other words, their interpretation, right? Their internalization. And lastly, what you think the other person said about what you said. I call that fortune telling. Okay? These are things that happen to us all the time. All the time. However, there are some reasons why people don't communicate. Some people just don't have the ability or desire. They just don't. Other people are fearful. You said you were nervous and you were fearful. I call it fear. You were nervous, but it was your fearful day. Right? He's also he's a shy person too, just like Wayne. Some people are fearful exposing how they feel or think. Am I right? They don't really want to reveal too much, and particularly in this day and age, because a lot of people are genuinely fearful of being hurt, of being exposed to crime. And one of the biggest things is people getting scammed. Almost every single week, I get stuff from the phone, the emails. By the way, I don't really text. I'm sorry. I'm an old dog, and I don't really like new things too much. My wife has the cell phone. I do not. Sorry. So don't text. Don't try to text me. But people are intentionally trying to hurt other people. And so it naturally creates fear in us. I mean, we're suspicious. You can be suspicious in a helpful way, but you can also be jaded and really kind of withdraw in yourself, right? And other people realize that. Some people feel that talking won't do any good. It just won't do any good. What kind of an attitude is that? What do you think? Some people, it won't do any good. What kind of an attitude is that?
Pessimistic.
It is. Did you hear what she said? Say it again.
Pessimistic.
Pessimistic, or you could say fatalistic, right? I mean, it's not going to do any good. You can talk to your blue in the face. You feel like I can talk to blue in the face, and I might as well be talking to a wall. There are people who believe that. And so they just withdraw. That's very unfortunate. And then there are other people who honestly feel, they've got nothing to contribute. Isn't that sad? That tells something about who they feel they are. If a person's going to say that, what do they feel about themselves? What do you think? What do you think? Low self-esteem? What did you say?
Not good,
It's definitely not good. Okay? But there are a lot of people who you know, maybe even yourself from time to time, I really have nothing to say. It's not that you don't have an opinion. I'm very suspicious of people who say, I don't have an opinion. I believe they do. They have an opinion, but they don't want to share it. They do not want to share it. So these are reasons below the surface why people just do not want to communicate. So there are some problems here. There are definitely some problems as a result of these attitudes, as a result of these kinds of personalities and experiences. There are people who suppress communication. There are people who have just one-sided communication. Intellectual communication. What's intellectual communication? Barry, what's intellectual communication, man? Come on. This guy spent, how many years spent in the Navy? 4 years. That's enough. You're also a Navy guy, aren't you?
Intellectual, you just be abstract.
Abstract,
Very hard to pin down to say.
hard to pin down. When I was growing up, we called that a head trip. Remember that? And you could tell. You could tell when someone is just kind of in their head and they're kind of phony. They're trying to impress you maybe with how much they know, but really it's working the opposite way. Intellectual communication. Then there's the person who is devious, indirect, devious communication. Here's a big one. Silence. Does that unnerve you? Talk to me. Talk to me. You're trying to communicate with a person, you care about them, and what happens? Tell me. What's your name? Cynthia? She made a face, by the way. Make that face again. Okay. What do you mean by that face? She's given a nonverbal here. What does that mean?
They shut down.
And they're quiet. Now, if a person acts like Cynthia, sorry,
That's okay.
what are you to assume, or what might you assume, about her? If she gives you the face, you can't see the face. You can't see the face. It's quite interesting. Basically, think about a prune, and that's what you got. What is she communicating with that face? I don't want to talk to you. And there's silence. But in her silence, she is speaking volumes to you. Right? That needs to register to you. That needs to affect you in some way. Then you've got to make a decision what you're going to do about that. All right? You know, we got fights and angry scenes. We've got physical acting out. And you know, when you have fights and angry scenes and physical acting out, you have what? Exactly right. Abuse. You have verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and God forbid, physical abuse. Now, later on in another class that I'm going to teach in a couple of weeks, I want to share with you, I want to reveal to you a little bit about my background, my family background. I'll just simply tell you this. My father was a prisoner of war. My father, at the age of 20 years old, was over in Europe participating in what was called the Battle of the Bulge. And in his division and around him, other soldiers were captured. 7,000 or 8,000 soldiers were captured within hours. As a result of his imprisonment, he had all kinds of issues that you can imagine, one of which was not even named in his generation, but we call it now post-traumatic stress disorder. They used to call it battlefield fatigue, shell shock, but he was only 20 years old. He spent his 21st birthday in a German prisoner of war camp, a little southeast of Frankfurt. And I grew up, I am his eldest son, his eldest child. And I grew up with a father who was physically unable to really communicate. In a sense, he experienced what is called psychic numbing. The trauma was so great in his life that he withdrew. It's not that he didn't feel, but my mother didn't know that. My mother was very frustrated and angry with him. Do you know that the day he was buried, my mother got up, gave a little bit of a eulogy, and after the funeral, she told me and my two brothers and my sister, I almost divorced him twice. Because he was unable to communicate. He also was unwilling to communicate. He couldn't do it because of the trauma that he experienced as a young man/boy. So I'm revealing some things to you, and that affected me. It affected my sister. She's 2 years younger than me. It didn't really affect my middle brother or my younger brother, but it affected me and my sister. So there was abuse, and it wasn't physical. I'm thankful to say it was not physical abuse. But I wonder, what do you think about this? Is emotional abuse better or worse than physical abuse? What do you think? What do you say? You think it's the same? Anybody over here?
I'd say worse.
You would say that emotional abuse is worse? Okay.
Because you don't understand it.
And they don't talk to you. They don't want to talk to you. So you can't know, right? Okay? You can't know. I tend to agree with you. I didn't understand as a young boy what was going on with my dad. I really didn't understand. I'll tell you more about that in a couple of weeks. Now I want to show you something. In the table that you saw in the very beginning, it occurred to me about a week ago when we're talking about abuse. I wonder whether you folks know, here residing in Massachusetts, if you know presently what the abuse statistics are for the state of Massachusetts. Would you take a look at that? You all have that paper? Anybody not have that paper? You all have it? I'm not going to go through everything, but I want to go through some highlights. You need to be aware. Why should you be aware of this? You should be aware of it because some of the people that may come into your life have been abused. A high percentage. High percentage. So, take a look. This is a Massachusetts Department of Children and Families reports. 178 reports of child abuse and neglect per day in 2024. Most of these stats are from last year. All right? Sexual abuse, sexual assault in children in Plymouth County, nearly an 80% rise. Let that percolate in your mind. Go down further. In 2024, there were 5,110 reports of sexual abuse, 965 reports of physical abuse, 654 reports of neglect. Look at this one. The majority of alleged offenders 18 plus accounted for almost 3,000 cases. Domestic violence. 19 domestic violence homicides in Massachusetts in 2023. Go to the bottom of the page. Most of us are elderly. I'll use that term advisedly. The Massachusetts Executive Office of Aging and Independence, hold on to your socks, 43,617 elder abuse reports in fiscal year 2024. What do you think of that? Shocking, isn't it? I can think of other adjectives, but they're not necessarily good. But think of that. See, what I want to try to say to you is, if you want to help people, if you want to help hurting people, if you want to be a people helper, and God brings a person into your life, could it be a casual conversation, could it be at the grocery store, could it be the checkout clerk, who knows? And you are aware of these things going on all around you, it should give you a little bit of pause. It should make your antenna go up a little bit so that you are able to detect possibility of abuse. And it's so sad to say, I think you're going to be right more than wrong. Isn't that sad to say? But you need to know these things. and I'm sorry to present them to you, it's kind of a downer, but I think it's important for you to know. Any comment on that? Are you surprised by this? These are, well, yeah, actually, there's a thing here, sir, that says something like that. Where am I reading here? Oh, turn the page. Turn the page. Yeah, turn the page. Under important considerations, abuse is often underreported. So these figures likely represent only a portion of the actual incidents. You're right, sir. You're right. All right, she's reading, by the way, the last bullet point. You probably can't hear her. Why is that important for you, Nancy?
Because they don't want to report to someone to help them, how they will report it to us, and how we know how we do it.
We wouldn't know. Unless they report, we wouldn't know. Unless.
We don't shoot them as a person,
All
not
right.
to
Now I'm going to give you a little sneak preview. One of the learning objectives that I gave you on that easel. If a person is concealing this, for a very good reason perhaps, by a lot of what they don't say, you can understand some things. You can get an insight in what is going on inside their lives. Now what I'm trying to tell you here, I'm going to share this in a minute with you, nonverbals, here's an expression. It's not what you say, it's what you do not say. And what I am trying to say to you in a very strong way, most of the people, indeed us, we communicate to other people more non-verbally, and I'm going to define that in a little bit, more non-verbally than we communicate verbally. Now, I don't know if you know that, but boy, oh boy, the one thing that I want you to know before you go out that door is this. It is not what you say. It's what you don't say. And in order to understand from people what they're not saying, you and I, we need to cultivate some skills. And I mean that literally. This stuff doesn't drop out of the sky. You need to work at it. You need to be understanding that it's okay to practice and to get mentoring. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this class. That's one of the reasons why I started this class. Okay, let's go to the next one. There are some, now we're going to have a lot of fun. How many ladies we got here? 1, 2, 3. We got, no shock. There are more ladies than men. Surprise, surprise, ding, 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 ding. And that's okay. All right? There are some gender differences in communication. And I want to give you a little bit of a physiology lesson. Say that 3 times. There is a difference between men and women. I know this day, I know these days, we kind of think, well, what is a woman? What is a man? But guess what? There are gender differences vis-a-vis communication. And if you don't know that, you've been living under a rock. Okay? So, from whence does it come? Well, it comes from a little membrane in a person's brain called the corpus callosum. Take your packet of information. I imagine it should be a number 2. You see number 2 at the right-hand corner of that page? Okay, so has anybody ever heard about the corpus callosum? Yes, she's an educated lady. You're an educated lady. Educated, all right? Corpus callosum. Now, about 10, 20 years ago, when I had this class, I thought I understood what a corpus callosum was, but guess what? It was based on faulty research. Within the last 10 to 15 years or so, there has been new research about the function and the operation of the corpus callosum, of right brain and left brain, that you need to know. All right? So let's find out what a corpus callosum is. A corpus callosum is a structure in the middle of your brain that connects the right and left hemispheres. The structure is made up of nerve fibers. Nerve fibers help left and right sides of your brain talk to each other by sending signals. Think of it as a bridge. Go down the middle of the page. Your corpus callosum functions as a bridge. It allows nerve signals to move between the two sides of your brain. Okay? And as I said, it's located in the very middle of the brain. Go to the next document. Should be number 3, I believe. It says left brain and right brain. What does this mean for me? You have the paper? Got it? Yes, no? Yes, yes? Okay. Now, I give these handouts to you because I think they're relevant, and I want you to read them. Okay? I believe that adult education is critical, and adults need to be challenged and stretched, and I'm hoping that these 5 classes will do exactly that. All right? So, I'm just going to go through highlights on this. The human brain, 2% of your body weight, human brain, contains about 85 to 100 billion neurons and trillions of connections. Now go down to the dark-colored sentence, 2 sentences. There is a myth that suggests some people are left brain while others are right brain. I used to think that because it was based on faulty research. This myth assumes that a person's motor, cognitive, and behavioral functions stem from the side of the brain that's most dominant. It is estimated that 68% of the general population in the United States support neuromyths, including this one. But, bottom of the page, the 2 halves of your brain are connected by brain fibers, and they work together. It used to be that I could identify, or I thought I identified, a person, that was more. By the way, what is a right brain person? What abilities, creative, artistic, what else? A lot of times they're musical, you get the idea of what I'm saying? So conversely, a left brain person would be what? Logical what? Engineer? You were an engineer, were you not? No.
Math.
Math, science, analysis, logical, okay? And I used to think, that because the corpus callosum was dividing left brain and right brain, and I used to think that the corpus callosum was non-permeable. Did you ever hear somebody say, "You're just doggone thick-headed"? Maybe that's what they're referring to, I don't know. But I used to think, because the research backs me up, that the characterization is you are left brain pretty much dominant, your right brain pretty much dominant, but the fact of the matter is that's not the case. Turn the page. In the middle of the 60s, they came up with the idea, right brain, left brain, et cetera, et cetera. A Nobel Prize winner, Roger Sperry, came up with that. Okay, and turn the page to the other one. So what does the research say, big bold letters, the left brain and the right brain myth? In 2013, only 12 years ago, they found no proof that this theory is correct. Magnetic resonance imaging, what is that? Anybody ever had one of those? An MRI, oh, I hate those. I hate being in that little tomb-like container. MRIs of 1,000 people reveal that the human brain doesn't favor one side over the other, nor are the networks on one side stronger than the other. Yes, they function differently, but what happens in the human person, there is constant interplay. There is constant communication between right brain and left brain. They work together. It's not saying that a person's predisposition might be more toward math and science and and analysis, or that they might be more predisposed to artistic nature or creative. That is true, but it's not that they don't operate independently. They operate simultaneously. And that's what the research revealed only 12 years ago. Imagine that. I'm really glad to know this. I'm really glad to know this, because that says an awful lot about communication. Now we're really going to have some fun. Okay? How do men and women, don't all speak at once, communicate differently? So before I give you the answer, let's hear what you have to say. Let's see, we've got one married couple here. We've got one married couple there. Anybody else here? One married couple here, I assume, yes? So we got three next, sorry? Congratulations, sir. You actually beat this couple here. They've been married 58. My wife and I have been married 56. So you get the booby prize. So let's hear from you all. What do you think? Now we're talking here in generalities. One time when I taught this class, I was in the Army, I taught this class, and I had a young female soldier challenge the chaplain. She challenged the chaplain. Can you imagine what's her with her? She said, it's not necessarily true, and she was right. We're talking generalities here. How do men and women generally communicate different? Tell me.
Men are very succinct.
Can you hear her? Say it.
Men are very succinct and women tend to expound on.
Can you hear her? Men are more succinct, and women, I love that. Women tend to, and she, notice what she did in nonverbal. Women, do it again. Women expound. That's what you did. So I heard your words, but this communicated more to me. You follow what I'm saying? That's your opinion, absolutely. What else? How do men and women communicate differently? Anita, right? Lynn, sorry, that's my sister's name. Tell us.
I agree with that. I tend to communicate more about feelings, and I think that Barry communicates more with facts.
Can you hear? Women talk, you talk more about feelings, or it's easier for you, let's say, to express feelings than Barry. Barry does what?
But just the facts.
Just the facts. And that is generally the case, correct? Correct. Anybody else? George?
Things are, for me, are more black and white. In other words, it's A, does this, B does that, and A plus B equals C.
Boy, I think is that new math? Yes?
We had a question online, said if you come from trauma, can it affect your left or right side of the
Oh
brain?
boy, what a great question. We're going to be dealing with, the answer is yes. Yes. Let me rephrase it. If you've had trauma, if you've experienced trauma, I'm paraphrasing, does that tend to affect, or can it affect the right brain or the left brain in terms of communication? The answer is yes. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that, giving some personal examples about my dad, okay, because I think it's very relevant. And how it affected me, and my mother, and my sister particularly. Great question. How else do women and men communicate differently? Anybody else? Yes?
I think the goal of what we're trying to achieve in communication can be different. Men are more task-oriented, right? Whereas women are focused on enhancing or deepening the relationship between.
Is your wife going to see this? You've been married how long?
4 years.
4 years. Is she going to see this?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Oh, but you're correct. I think you're correct. The fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, we do communicate generally differently. And it's not wrong. I think it's the way God made us in many ways. And also, we are affected, right, by our upbringings, by our culture, by our experiences, by a whole host of things. It affects how we communicate to one another. So the answer is absolutely true. So here is, I keep forgetting Nate to advance this. Can you all see that? So I didn't make this slide, so it's in dark background. Generally, women seek emotional connection. Men are task-oriented. Who said task-oriented? You did, okay. You get the prize for that one. Women talk out loud to organize their thoughts. Men tend to go within. Women sometimes need validation rather than having the problem solved for them. Men hear the message and want to solve the problem. That's what George said. What? Nancy says that's the biggest one. So why do you say that?
Because somebody just want to just share it, and then want to go right to the end and solve the problem without the sharing.
Men are fixers, generally speaking. And particularly if their wives or their daughters or other women that are important to them are hurting. They don't like that. They want to be able to fix it. They want to be able to do something that's going to make a difference. And that's okay. That's all right. But the problem is, often that's not where the women are. That's not where they need to be reached. Okay? Lastly, women generally are more nonverbal in communication. Men are more analytical and pragmatic. Do you resonate with that?
No.
I knew Patty was going to say that. Go ahead.
Just the last one.
All right, okay, so I'm going to try this out. Ooh, it goes back, right? Okay, did it go back? Did it go back? Okay. Craig, tell us.
No, I was just saying that that last one said that women were more nonverbal communicators. And I forget what it then said. Can you go back to it?
Yes. Women are more nonverbal communicators. Men are more analytical and pragmatic.
Okay, so I would say that women are not more nonverbal. I don't know, that just doesn't seem like the right guy.
Okay, all right.
I agree with you.
I think women are able to say too much,
Speak up a little.
at least from a man's perspective.
From a man's perspective, you say women speak too much? Did she say that?
Well, I think men don't want to hear anything.
Whoa. What did you say? Oh, Bob says that. What did you say?
I don't want to hear anything sometimes. I don't want to talk about it. I say that more than I should.
So you own that? Okay.
And I think that's partly why it seems like what you say is true, is that when you want to verbally express what's going on with us to a man who doesn't want to hear anything, it seems like too much.
Is that fair to say, though? I'm going to challenge you. Go ahead.
Well, my husband and I find the same thing with my son. I'll send a text, I have an appointment, blah, 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 I did, what are you doing, and the answer is always okay. I think, my husband was the same way, I find the same thing with my son. Here's, what are you doing tonight, or, I'll send a bunch of information, and the answer is always okay.
We're going to deal with that.
Never anything extra.
With social media, we're going to deal with that.
Well, just as a way to communicate, you know.
Wait till you see this article that, I don't know whether you read it or not, but it really brought things to my mind. All valid. These are generalizations, all right? All right. So, then the challenge becomes listening. Listening. Communication and listening. Listening is a learned skill. When I got assigned to Walter Reed Army Medical Center in D.C., there were about 20-some, 25 chaplains, most Army, but we had some Navy, we had a couple of Air Force chaplains that were there, and we were all learning how to be better listeners in a hospital setting. And, the chaplains got assigned to various departments in Army Medical and the Army Medical Center. I was the last person in that group to be assigned for a particular department. You'll never guess where I was assigned. And when my supervisor revealed where Chaplain, Vermont was going to be assigned, there was a oh from the group. Where do you think I was assigned? Close. Pediatrics, and the kids were all leukemic. I was assigned for, we were supposed to be assigned for an initial period of 3 months, a quarter, because the course was 1 year, all right? And then I was supposed to rotate. I was really surprised by this. The director of nursing for that ward, Ward 51, she came to my supervisor and she said, I really want, and I did my good enough, I want Chaplain Vermont to extend another 3 months. And by that time, I was exhausted, I'll tell you right now. Being 3 months with kids, some of which died on my floor, I was exhausted. But on the other hand, I was energized. It was a beautiful, wonderful experience. I never had anything like that in my life. And I extended it for another 3 months.
You must have been very good at that.
Well, I guess you've read, Eileen, you read my book that I read, right? You read that? About pediatric ministry? A couple of years ago? You did, right? She can tell you if I was good. I passed the course, but I did well. I wrote a book about that. I wrote a book about my experience. And I had to develop, I thought I was a pretty good chaplain. I also did not particularly care for hospital ministry. And the Army, you get orders and you go where they tell you to go. They don't ask your opinion, you go. That's what being in the military is all about. Yes, I will go. But I learned as a result of that experience how to be a much, much better listener. And when you are with children, many of whom are very young, many of whom are very sick, many of whom have parents and grandparents, who are really upset and angry and frustrated and depressed, you have to learn how to listen. In fact, I'll just say this. Part of the requirements of the program was that after you make your rounds, you have to choose to share, to which case to share to the rest of the chaplains in your course. And in order to do that, you have to write what is called a verbatim. You know what a verbatim is? You are not allowed to go into a patient's room with a notepad and pencil. Oh, no. You have to remember the interaction. And then you have to write it down in a prescribed manner and then share it with your cohort group. Very challenging. So I had to cultivate listening skills in order to get through the course. It was really a stretching experience for me and for the rest of them. I enjoyed it, even though it's kind of like enjoying a root canal. I mean, sorry. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? It was a very, very stretching thing. So you have to develop listening skills. And I realize the time is going by. Now, this next slide. Sorry. Yes.
I had a question about listening skills, and it's particular when you talk about your father and his struggles with PTSD. But did he ever talk to you about this experience?
No. No.
So I guess the question would be, I know I'm going to explain how do you get people to talk so you can do the listening?
You know when my father started to talk? When I became a chaplain in the Army. When I was dealing with soldiers like him. Then he started to open up. More to follow. Good question, thank you. So here's the thing that I want you to do. I'm going to get out of my chair for a minute. Nate? I have a bad back, courtesy of the Army. And I want you to tell me something. There are, in communication, think of communication as an entire message. So you could, and I have it on the slide here, you could just draw a circle, a pie chart, and this pie chart contains 100%, right? 100% of something, of data. There are three components, generally speaking, of the complete message. There is words, verbal. There is tone of voice. And then there is nonverbal. Now here's what I want you to do. Tell me, please, what percentage, and I'm gonna write it down. I want to know the ratio. Of this 100%, what percentage are words? Pat, you know this, so don't answer. How much? 40%. Who else said 40%? Is that 20? You say 20%? 10%? No. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to move on. Tone of voice. What percentage would be tone of voice? 40? I hear 50. I feel like an auctioneer. 40, 50. Anybody else? Going once, going twice? Huh? Ooh. Nonverbal, what's the percentage? Now remember now, if you answered, already, then you need to make sure you're doing the math. How much nonverbal? 50? Bob says 50. 40?
70.
Ooh. Wow. 7. Here's what I want to say to you. I want you, before you go out of this classroom today, to really internalize what I am now going to say to you. It makes all the difference in the world to your developing or not communication skills. Look at that. Can you see it? Only 7% are the words that you say. Now, let me tell you something. I'm a preacher too. That kind of distressing to me. The majority, let's really look at this. If you take tone of voice and nonverbal, 93% is the message. I think it's going to take a little time for this to really dawn on you what the message really is for you. You want to help a person. You want to help your family members. You want to help your neighbors. You want to help your friends. You need to develop an understanding of the power of nonverbal communication, including with that the tone of voice. Yes, they're separate. For my purpose, I'm adding them together 93%. That needs to stick in your mind, and the other thing is only 7% verbal.
Where did these statistics come from?
These statistics come from, not from me. And I don't have the source here, I can get it for you if you want. I've experienced this in my life. I mean, I know this. Experientially, I know this. But if you want me to give you the source, I will. Remind me. Go ahead.
There was a saying when I was studying in my undergraduate degrees in psychology, and when we were taking this course, the ratio course, there was a saying that
Can you hear her?
we were taught to hear, which was, I can't hear what you're saying because what you're doing speaks so loudly.
Did you hear that? Yes.
Just one comment, this makes it very difficult talking about someone on the phone.
You're getting that too, all right? Yes. And also, social media. When I taught this course 10 years ago, we didn't have social media. But there is an article in your packet that I want you to read very, very, very carefully. Okay? I mean very carefully about social media. All right? So I'm going to move on because I'm really running out of time. Take a look at your next thing in your packet. 14 body language mistakes you didn't know you were making. Yeah. Which Patty or who? Who?
I can't hear what you're saying because what they're doing is speaking so loudly, or speak so loudly. When somebody's saying, oh no, I didn't mean that, but then what they're doing proves the opposite.
Tells you otherwise.
The way of the tone of their voice also.
All right. I'm going to go through this kind of lightning speed because I want you to read it. All right. I've already established the fact that communication, quality communication, effective communication is more than words. I've established that, have I not? All right. Okay. But your body, the second paragraph, when your body language is out of alignment with what you're saying,
Wait, where?
second paragraph of this document,
I can't find the page.
it says 14 body language mistakes you didn't know you were making. You have that? Number 5. Number 5. Great, you got it now? So the second paragraph, your body language is out of alignment with what you're saying. It sends mixed messages. And there, by the way, is the source. Sandy? Sandy. According to Carol Kinsey Goldman, PhD, this can make you look weak, insincere, or even devious. Okay. Shrinking your body, number 2. Shrinking your body, sometimes people don't want to appear, overwhelming to a person, and so they kind of retreat. And the body language people say, no, what you want to be able to do is to take up the space, have an open communication. Instead of being with your arms closed like this, you want to be like this. You don't want to be like this. Turn the page. Number 3. Shifting your weight from foot to foot. If you're shifting your weight from foot to foot, basically that tells another person, I'm out of here. I want to leave. I'm pretty much finished. You follow me? Some of these are very self-evident. But we don't think about them when we're talking to a person. These are unconscious things that a lot of do because that's what we always do. All right, number 4, looking up to the left. Casting your eyes up to the left when you're recalling a story or an event is a common body language called a tell. Any poker players here? Any card? My wife's a card shark. Any card sharks here? People who play cards look at other people for their tell. Do you follow me now? We all have different tells. And if a person is looking to the left when they're telling a story, the chances are they're not telling you the truth. They are elaborating, shall we say.
Why to the left?
Just what? I don't know. I'm being honest. But people who analyze this, to the left. Constantly glancing at your phone, that's a dead giveaway. Crossing your arms says I'm closed. Right? You want to be open. Speaking with a higher pitched voice. Have you noticed that sometimes when people get really excited and they really want to get a point across, the pitch goes up. Well, guess what? You're laughing. I don't think I want to know why you're laughing. The quality of your voice can be a deciding factor in how you're perceived. Speakers with higher pitched voices are deemed less empathetic, less powerful, and more nervous. The same lady, the PhD, Dr. Coleman, says that. Avoiding eye contact. One of the biggest things that is a mistake, body language mistake, is not looking at the other person that you're speaking to. In fact, this is the one thing that is the most important thing, maintaining eye contact with the other person you're trying to assist. If you can't do that, the other person is going to think that they're really not very important to you. Okay? And on it goes. I think I'm going to leave that. Go to the next one. Article number 6. So, we know some things not to do. Here are 11 nonverbal cues every professional or every person should learn to read. And it's only a 2-pager. Look, you all have that? You got it? Number 6? Yes, ma'am? Yes, yes, yes? The second one, the one on number 1, wandering eyes. Body language starts with the eyes. Watch the eyes of who you are talking to. The best way to do that without being too aggressive is to ask questions about them, their needs, and how you might be able to help. And there's the source, Sandy. John O'Connor, Career Pro Incorporated. Eyes are the window, as they say, to the soul. Look for the eyes. You want to know what a person... Turn the page. Again, I'm not going to read everything. If another person is leaning in, making frequent eye contact or nodding their head, you're on the right track. If you lean back, if you're shifting your weight, it tells the other person you're not really engaged in their conversation. Okay? Micro-messages. Micro-messages, number 4, are subtle, look at this, unconscious nonverbals that we project. When your colleague checks their watch, they're in a rush. They're not aware that they're checking their watch or their phone. Closed body language, I've already talked about that. Big size, number 7. Eyes tell a story about a person. Signs of anger. Read that, please. We've got 5 minutes. I'm going to skip this one. If you don't know about Maslow, you need to. So, there are people who are passive in their communication, in their vocabulary. You don't really know what they're thinking, no direct expression of feelings. Have you ever met a person who you are talking to who has no emotion whatsoever? In other words, we call that no affect. In other words, we could say a blank stare. Spooky. I think it's kind of spooky. But I mean, you kind of wonder whether or not anything you say or anything you do is having any kind of an effect on that person or not. And you just kind of wonder what's going on there. Have you ever had that experience? A person just a flat affect. And I've experienced that in some other people. Aggressive. Some people are like bulldozers. Let it all hang out. You don't have to worry about what they think. Because they're going to tell you. And they're not only going to tell you, they're going to tell everybody else they can.
People from New York, you mean? I'm kidding.
I'm not. People from New York. Or Connecticut.
City.
Connecticut. Oh, sorry. Might as well be from New York. Right? Now, effective communication, direct expression of feelings, thoughts, or wishes, while understanding the other person's feelings, thoughts, or wishes. We're just about done. Now, I want to get to the very end. I don't want to go to 7. I want to go to social media. Well, there is telephone communication here for the lady who mentioned that, and you can go to the recording. Oh, by the way, one more thing. I have your email addresses. Unless I hear from you otherwise, I will send you a digital copy of these slides. so that you have them. So if you want to pass them on to some other person, you can do that easily. Unless you tell me otherwise, I will send you this. So the one lady who was talking about telephone communication, yes, we have something about that. But I want to go to the very last one, social media. How social media affects communication. I'll summary. Do you see that? Do you see that in your packet? This is explosive. I never had to deal with this 10 years ago. As a matter of fact, I don't want to deal with it now. You know, I want to read you just a couple things in bold, and then we're going to wrap it up. Needless to say, social media has a profound effect on the way people communicate, and I would say, or not, today. Turn the page. Social media has profoundly impacted the way we communicate, affecting our personal relationships, the way we receive information, and societal discussions. In 2024, with around 5 billion users, by the way, how many people populate the world? More than that. 8 billion. 8 billion people are living in our world more or less today. 5 billion of those people use social media worldwide. A teenager, a young adult, spends on average 7 hours per day on social media. Many of these people, including, listen, I drive down 6A, I've been particularly with all of our lovely tourists, but other people too, and I swear I've nearly run over half of them. Why? Because they're completely married to their phones and they're walking on the highway, ladies and gentlemen. It drives me crazy. Crossing the street. They are absolutely binging on social media, particularly young adults, craving more and more and more and more. According to the 2023 Pew Research Center, about 1/3 of Americans aged 18 to 29 regularly get their news from TikTok. Facebook remains a leading source for news with 30% of U.S. adults. YouTube follows closely at 26%. For young people, social media is their primary source. Now, let me ask you, without going through the rest of this, if a person is relying pretty much exclusively on social media for their information and their conversations, what are they not hearing or understanding? Well, yeah, yes, you're right. But I'm looking for a much more profound thing. If I said to you, which I did, forget about tone of voice.
Or nonverbal.
Forget about nonverbal. In other words, people who are using or overusing social media, they are eliminating 93% of the message. Think about that. Now, young people, one of the things they do is they create pictures, which is an attempt to be able to create some kind of an emotional, response or connection, which is okay, but you eliminate, do you see that? You understand that? This is how you're trouble, not getting in trouble.
No, sorry, it's just that, obviously, you don't have a
I don't want one.
Okay, because TikTok is all verbal. It's video. They're very short videos.
I know what it is, my dear. Just
people-
because, see,
but
she's
they're-
assuming.
No,
You're assuming. I know what it is, and I don't want it.
They're getting the nonverbal, and, they're getting the facial expressions and all that kind of stuff. It's just one person.
But it's artificial.
Yes,
It's artificial.
totally artificial.
Okay? So, we're going to wrap up this. I want you to read this article carefully. And those of you who have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, neighborhood kids, understand what we have created. You get the picture? And one of the, and I'm just going to pontificate here. one of the things that I would say is, this is one of the reasons why we had, in my opinion, why we have a lot of misunderstanding. Because we eliminate 93% of the content of messages. Okay, we're going to close it. I want you to read, can we get the, is there? Okay, this book here, How to Be a People Helper, is in the back. We only have 16 of these right now. Hopefully, this week we'll get more, right?
Yeah.
I want you to read chapter 1 and 2 of Dr. Collins' book. This is a revised copy. When I originally read this book, it was like, 30 years ago, maybe. I'm dating myself, I know. But I want you to, this is really good stuff, okay? And we're going to be dealing with it, yes? It's not compensation. No, it's not. It's one way. Okay? So, closing comments or questions, and I'll let you out of here. I respect your time, and I really appreciate your being here very, very close to 10 o'clock. And I'll let you out here in 30 seconds. Any comment or closing? Did you learn? I hope I accomplished the learning objectives that I set forth. Okay? Let's close in prayer. Thank you, Lord, for these wonderful people. I thank you for their enthusiasm. I thank you for their intent and their desire to learn. Lord, I pray that you would take this information and by your Holy Spirit, internalize it for us so that we might be able to reach out and touch and care for people in a more effective manner. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. See ya. Next week we're dealing with coping with stress and depression. Ding, ding, ding. All right? I will be sending you some information, particularly on stress. I'm going to be sending you an inventory, a simple inventory that I want you to evaluate yourself. It's like, 20 or 30 questions, and I will send that to you separately, okay? God bless you guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Professor.
Here's a problem. I can't. It's difficult for me to do that. There has to be another person tasked to do that. Well, I don't know. Maybe that, you need to discuss that with her. You need to discuss it. Discuss it with Nate. I agree with you. I thought about it. Now, I project pretty well, but they don't. They don't. Yeah. The quality of a woman's voice, it's difficult sometimes for men to hear that. Men can generally hear another man's voice, but not so much a woman's voice. But,
See ya. I will see you next week. We'll be in Minnesota.